Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So welcome to this another part for the Python interview series. And now today basically we are going to look the next 5 questions in this Python interview series. Right. So basically now today I'll be telling you about the questions, the answers, the detailed explanation for those answers, and even we'll be revising out some little topics regarding that particular question as well. Right. So let's get started without wasting up the time. Okay, so here I am with my very first question for now, that how is multi-threading achieved in Python? Now this is a very good question, that basically that how is multi-threading achieved in Python? Now you first of all you know that multi-threading is the part of that threads module, right? With the help of the threads module and the threading module, we just do the multi-threading and we just do on all these things like this, right? Now, so let's answer this question, and I'll be answering this question with some sub points as well. Okay, I've just put on some sub points here and I'll be answering out the question. So let's get started here, right here. So my very first thing that I'm just going to write is about the module only, that Python has a multi-level, multi-threading. I'm just not multi-level, it's multi-threading. So Python has a multi-threading package, as I mentioned in the very starting as well, that it has a package for it, right? Package. But but if you want to multi-thread, now basically why we just multi-thread? There are many cases for the multi-threading, why we just do that, right? But if you want to multi-thread to speed your code up, your to speed your code up, then basically then it's usually not a good idea to use it. Basically if you just want to use some multi-threading, if you just want to use a multi-threading for basically let's say you want to multi-thread your speed, you just want to increase the speed of your code. So in that case if you're just using this multi-threading uh, like concept, so that is basically not a good idea. Now why is that so? So let me just answer that question here as well. Let me just put on the second point and let me write that thing here, that Python has a construct. Python has a construct called GIL. Okay, let me just calm down first of all. So Python actually has a construct and that is actually called as GIL. Now I'm just not writing the full form of GIL, I'm dictating that. So GIL actually stands for Global Interpreter Lock. Okay, just remember that thing. I'm just not going to write it because. Fine, so I would just again repeat once that Python has a construct called GIL, and G stands for Global, I stands for Interpreter, and L stands for the lock. Okay, so that means Global Interpreter Lock. So the GIL which we have, okay, so the GIL makes sure only one of your one of your threads can can execute at any one time. So basically what's the use of this GIL? That is my global interpreter lock. So that makes sure that only one of your codes can execute at one time. Okay, so basically full stop, and here I'll just write a thread acquires the GIL. The thread acquires the GIL, that is basically my global interpreter lock, GIL, it basically does a little work, a little work, then passes the GIL onto the next thread, then passes the, let me come down, okay, then passes the, okay, just one second, then passes the GIL onto the next thread. So this is basically how the GIL actually works in the threads. So basically first thing is that it basically allows to execute one thread at only one time, right? Other than that, a thread acquires the GIL, that does a little work, then passes the GIL onto the next thread. Okay, this is actually how it works. Now, next thing that we'll be just writing about this, that basically how it takes place and what changes we are able to see in the code after applying this GIL and this multi-threading. Right, let's see that thing. So here I'll be just writing out this answer that this happens very quickly, very quickly. So to the human eye, it may not. So basically, we are not able to see that from our human eyes actually. So this happens very quickly. So we are not able to see that. So it may like seem to you that your thread are executing in the parallels. Okay, this happens very quickly, comma, so that so to the, okay, just let me write this in another way. So to the right here. So to the human human eye human eye, it may seem it may seem that it may seem like let me come down, it may seem like you you that threads are executing it parallel, seem like you threads are executing in parallel. Okay, so this is actually which what thing happens here, that it is very quickly, so that human eyes, it is not at all basically possible for human eyes to see, and they basically we are able to see this in a way that all the threads which are actually made, they are executing in the parallel, but they are not really just like executing in the parallel. Right, these are the three things which we can just write on the things. Now another one thing about the GIL as well, I would just add on here, that all this GIL, passing adds overhead to the execution, adds overhead to execution. Okay, so this GIL passing adds the overhead to the execution. This means that if you want to make your code run faster, then using the threading package often is not a good idea. Right, I hope you got the idea that basically what is this that basically how is multi-threading achieved in Python. So this is the way how we just achieve out the multi-threading in Python. So Python has a multi-threading package, but if you want to multi-thread to speed your code up, so that is not basically a good idea, right? Python has a construct called GIL, Global Interpreter Lock. The GIL makes sure that only one of your threads can execute at any one time. Okay, a thread acquires the GIL, does a little work, then okay, just 1 second right here, and then passes the GIL onto the next thread. This happens very quickly, so to the human eye, it may seem like your threads are executing in parallel, and all this GIL passing adds overhead to the execution. Right? So basically, I hope that you have got a clear and a fair idea that actually how these things actually work. Right? Basically, how this multi-threading is achieved in Python. Now, moving towards the next question for today, and that is basically explain split, sub and methods of RE module in Python. Okay, so we have a module that is RE module in Python, right? Now, basically, we need to explain the use of split, sub and methods of the RE module in Python. Okay, let's get started the things. So, first of all, I'll be just using that for what all these three functions are actually used. First, I'll be listing out the use of these functions. So, to modify to modify the to modify the strings Python's RE module, well, Python's RE module is providing to modify the strings. Python's RE module has three functions, and these are split, sub and sub. So if you just want to modify the strings, and so in that basically Python RE module has three functions, that is split, sub and sub, right? So these are basically used to modify the strings. Now basically what's the things and what are the differences between all of these things? So we'll be just seeing that here. right? So let's start with the split function. So I would just write here split and then the bracket like this. Okay, just let me first of all write the T in a fair handwriting, is split like this, bracket, and here goes. Right, let me just come down first of all right here. Okay, now my split function. So it uses a regex pattern, regex. Okay, it uses a regex pattern to basically to split a given string, given string given string into a list, into a split. Okay, so split is a function that uses a regex pattern to split a given string into a list, right? This is done. Moving towards the second. Okay, we have the second and we have the sub. Okay, second is basically the sub. Let me just come down. Now basically what is the use of the sub? So it finds all substrings, finds all finds all substrings where the regex pattern matches and then replace them replace them with a, okay, just one second, replace them with the, okay, and replace the, okay, and replace, it is not the, it is basically replace them. Okay, replace them with a, let me come down, and replace them with a different string. So different, and here it goes the string, right? So this is the use of the sub function which we have. So that basically finds all the substrings where the regex pattern matches and then replace them with a different string, right? So basically I hope that you have got a fair and a clear idea regarding this right now. Okay, let me just write here. Now my third option goes that we were having sub n. So I would just write sub and n here like this, right? Now basically what's the use of the sub n? So basically it is similar, it is similar to sub n. Okay, sorry, it is basically similar to the sub function, a little bit of similar, so only basic differences are there that I've let you know. So it is similar to sub and also returns the new string, or also returns the new string along with the along with the number of replacements. Okay, number of replacements. So this is actually what is the use of the sub n function. So this is actually similar to the sub function and also returns the new string along with the number of replacements. So these are the three functions that we have discussed. First one was the split, and the use for that is it uses a regex pattern to split a given string into a list. Second was sub, finds all substrings where the regex pattern matches and then replace them with a different string. Third was sub n. So it is basically similar to sub function and also returns the new string along with the number of replacements. Right? So these were the three which we have discussed. Now here comes my next question, and then my next question is that how will you convert a string to all lowercase? Now this is a super easy function. This is a very direct function which actually comes. So we have a direct function in Python programming which is used to convert a string to all lower cases, right? We have a function for converting it into lower cases and for converting it into upper cases as well, right? So let's write out that thing here. So I would just add on this statement. So to convert a string, to convert a string to lowercase, lower function can be used. So lower is basically the function lower function can be used. So to convert a string to lower case, lower function can be used. Right, now let's see a quick example for this thing. So my example, let me just come down. My example goes like, let's say I'm having a string that is my underscore str. And in that string, let's say I have stored Python like this. All of the letters are in caps, right? Now I just want to convert it into the small letters. So simply I would just use out my print statement. Inside my print statement, I would write the variable which I want to convert into small letters. So for me that is my underscore str, right? So my underscore str is a variable in which I have stored my string and I just want to convert that into the lower cases. So my underscore str and here goes the lower and brackets like this and this is closed. Right, so this is actually how we just use out the lower function, and as the output you will be getting the Python written in the small letters like this. Okay, so basically I just hope I just made this thing very clear to you that how we can convert our string to the lower cases. Fine. Now, my fourth question comes here, and that is basically how do break, continue, and pass work. Very important and a confusing question in the interviews that explain me how break, continue, and pass works. Right? Let's see all of these three here. So let's start with the break function. Okay. So what is the use of break function? So it allows loop termination. It allows the termination of the loop first of all. Okay. So it allows the loop termination when some condition it allows the loop termination when some condition is met and and the control is transferred and the control is transferred to the next statement, right? So this is the very first use of that is the break function. So this is how actually it works. So first of all, it allows the loop termination. Okay, so basically when some condition is met and the control is transferred to the next statement. Okay, let me just write this statement as full. Allows loop termination when some condition is met and the control is transferred to the next statement. Okay, this is actually how the break statement works. Right, now let's see about the continue one, that how this continue function actually works. Right, so continue. Fine. So basically it allows skipping some part of a loop. So it allows skipping some part of a loop when 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 some specific condition and here I have just write that condition. So allows us skipping some part of a loop when some specific condition is met is met and the control is transferred when the control is transferred to the beginning we double ning when some specific condition is met and the control is transferred to the beginning of the of the loop. Okay, so this is actually how the continue works. So it allows us skipping some part of a loop when some specific condition is met and the control is transferred to the beginning of the loop. Right? Now, let's move on towards the pass and the last function for this particular question, and that is pass. Right? Now, this is basically used when you need to block. It is used when you need to block when you need some block. Okay, when you need some block of code syntactically. Now basically I'll just give you a simple example for this pass function as you can understand it clearly. That let's say you have made a function or you have made a class. Now let's say inside that you do not want to write anything. So if you do not write write anything inside that, it will give you error, right? That we cannot just keep them as empty. Whatever the things are that we need to just write it, but you do not want to do that. So in that case we simply use this pass function. So what it does, it makes that code syntactically correct. Okay, then it will basically, when it's run at, it basically does not show you the error. Right? This is actually how this parse function actually works. So parse used when you need to some when you need to when you need some block of code syntactically, okay, syntactically, but but you want to skip, its execution. As I mentioned in the simple words as well, that when let's say when you have just written some block of code and you just do not want to write anything else inside that and you just want to execute it, so in that case basically we just use out this parse function. Right? Now, understand the three once again, that how does break, continue and pass actually work. So break works that it allows the loop termination when some condition is met and the control is transferred to the next statement. So basically it allows the loop termination. It allows the loop to stop when some condition is fulfilled and the control of the program is transferred to the next statement, whichever you have written, right? What about the continue? So continue allows skipping some part of a loop when some specific condition is met and the control is transferred to the beginning of the loop. So in continue actually what happens, that it allows the skipping of some part of a loop. So basically some part of the loop is skipped when some specific condition is met, that is when some specific condition is completed. So in that particular part, this continue skips that, it allows to skip some part of a loop and the control is basically again transferred to the beginning of the loop. In the break it was transferred to the next statement, right? And in the continue it is transferred to the beginning of the loop. And pass, I have already told you that actually how this actually works, right? Now let me just come to the last question for now. And now my last question goes here, that what is Python path? Okay, what is this thing? Okay, now let me just start writing the answer. In that, basically, I would just explain. So first thing, it is an environment. It is an environment, right here. So it is an environment variable, which is actually used. So it is an environment variable which is used which is used when a module is imported. So it is an environment variable which is used when a module is imported. Okay, first of all, this is the definition for the Python path. Other than that, whenever a module is imported, whenever a module is imported. Okay, so whenever a module is imported, Python path, let me write that in the capitals, Python and PATH. Okay, whenever the module is imported, Python path is also looked up let me come down here. So it is an environment variable which is used when a module is imported. Whenever a module is imported, Python path is looked up to check the, okay, just one second, looked up to check the presence of imported modules in various directories. This is actually what we just meant from this Python path. What is Python path? It is an environment variable which is used when a module is imported. Okay. Basically, it is an environment variable which is used when a module is imported. Whenever a module is imported, Python path is also looked up to check the presence of the imported modules in various directions. Right? So basically, I hope that you have got this Python path, that what it actually means. Right? Now, let me just go above and revise out all the questions for once that we have actually discussed today. Right? The very first question that we have discussed, that how is multi-threading achieved in Python? After that, we had seen the explain, split, sub, and methods of RE module in Python. After that, we had seen that how will you convert a string to all lowercase. Then we had seen that how do break, continue and pass work. And at last, we had seen that what is Python path. Right? So these are the 5 questions that we had actually seen today. And basically, I hope that you have got a clear and a fair idea regarding all of these five questions, that what type of questions are these, how to answer these questions, and basically what is the explanation for all of these. Right, so basically we'll be stopping up here and we'll be meeting in the next videos with some more questions. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.